what we might think of as full shavasana, and that will really depend on how your body meets the earth. So first of all, bring your feet roughly in line with your buttock bones, and of course elongate as you lay down into semi-supine. And you might want to lift the skull and just gaze down the mat and make sure you're centered. If you are on your sticky mat, give a little space between the arms and the armpits. Try to, of course, rest especially the shoulders and the shoulder blades and the heads of the arm bones down to the earth. And then, really important to try and feel that your back skull is centered. You may feel you also would prefer to release your legs long, but please only release the legs long if you are not receiving any undue tugging or discomfort in the back of the ribs, back of the waist, or down into the sacrum. So for many of us, especially with that quite high lumbar arc or lumbar curve, having the knees bent into the pose that we call supine semi is really more acceptable in comfort levels. So this is a Soma scan, and it can take 20 minutes, but I'm going to give you a very short summary. So relax the weight of your body into the earth. And then just begin to observe your breath and the movement of your breath. So what is moving as you breathe? And please relax your jaws. Relax the facial muscles and start to observe conscious yoga breathing. And at the same time, as you gently observe your breath flowing in and flowing out through the nose, become aware of points of contact and pressure on the earth beneath you. So where and how is your body meeting the earth in this present moment? Can you feel the whole back body? Can you feel your left and then your right shoulder blade? And similarly, can you feel your left and then your right arm? What do you feel around the scapulae, the shoulder blades and the arms? Do you feel a sense of being propped? Do you feel heavy weight on your left and a little sharpness on the right? Do you feel lightness and space around the upper back, around the lower back? What do you feel about the movement of your breath in the rib cages? And remember that it's different when you are feeling collapsed with fatigue, and it's different to when you're feeling uptight, stiff, stuck, and hyper-stressed. All of these different feelings in our body, all of these different emotions sit inside the body tissues, and they can cause us to have tight muscular contraction, a sense of gripping in certain areas. Can you free and sense the neck, the throat, and the collarbones, and can they be quiet and relaxed? Sense again your arms. From the inside, can you be aware of the length of the arm, from the armpit to the inner wrist and palm? Can you be aware of the length of your outer arm, from the shoulder, head of the arm bone, outer elbow, outer palm? Keep letting your ribs expand as you inhale And gently rest back in and down as you exhale and feel your body inflating and deflating. Now we're going to come into some movement in the actual shoulder joints themselves. So let your arms just be completely heavy and resting, but draw them a little closer towards your side bodies. And everybody now, please, if you have got long legs, bring your knees bent and your feet resting in supine semi. And have those arms really lifeless and they are relaxed beside you. Now, I call this movement north and south, and it's an encouragement of shoulder blades to glide up and down your ribs. So you might feel the blades move along the earth. So slide your right shoulder up towards the ear, and you're scooping that blade up as well. And then glide the shoulder back, down and away. So melt it down. And now consciously be aware of your left arm and left shoulder. Slide your left shoulder up to your ear. Feel a kind of squeeze of blood and heat and energy. And then melt that shoulder down and away. Now gather both. Scoop both shoulders up to your ears, glide them up, and then slide them down and away. And what you are seeking to feel is that as you glide them up and slide them down and slide them up and glide them down, that the muscular action is observed as smooth and glossy and without any speed bumps, without any jitters, jerks or jumps. And I call this north and releasing. North, shoulders rise to north, if it was a compass, and then they glide down and away. Now let's practice the felt sense of south. So can you slide your arms down and draw the shoulder blades down the back? So you feel like maybe a contraction between the armpit and the hip. It's almost as if your fingers are trying to glide down towards your hips. So first of all, feel the movement going down and south, and then rest back to neutral. And then in individual shoulders, draw your right arm down as if pulling down to south. Sense the muscles that are moving and creating that action, and then glide back to neutral. And then in your left, draw down to south, arm moves down to the hip, it glides along the earth, and then melt back to center. Now both arms, north and south. So gather the shoulders up to the ears, it's like a big shrug, and then melt them down to neutral, and then travel past neutral and draw the shoulders down towards the back waist in a movement I'm calling south. And then relax all efforts. And can you combine that well now with relaxed breathing? So hear this guidance. As you breathe in, draw the right shoulder to north. Feel that little sense of contraction there, and slide as you exhale the left shoulder down to south. And then release everything back to neutral. Glide left shoulder north, inhale. Exhale, glide right shoulder south. And release back to neutral. And then just start to pattern that, and you'll start to feel your torso and ribs slightly side bending, and the action of your scapulae and shoulders will start to effect a little rolling action in the head and neck. So please begin to integrate a movement that started in your shoulder joint and find that you have a lovely side bending feel sense through the ribs, the torso, and even the head and neck is going along for the ride. So you're gliding the body, left shoulder up, right shoulder down, right shoulder rises, left shoulder south, and it's now patterning into your torso. And then release those actions completely. Breathe and feel the blood flow that you've created around the head, neck and shoulders, maybe around your arms. And notice already if anything has changed. So perhaps what has changed in the way that your body meets the earth. Everybody is still in semi-supine. What I'd like you to do now is a movement that I'm going to call the beach ball. So float your arms in line with your collarbones and create a ball with your arms as if over the chest you're holding a beach ball. Now you can touch the second fingers together or even overlap your fingers, or you can keep a gap, a little gap between the palms. Essentially the hands are perhaps just above your chest. First of all, raise the ball above your head. So the arms are forming your beach ball. Resting onto the feet, let the pelvis be really relaxed. Make sure, of course, that the groins and the thigh bones are just descending into the sockets and your groins are not gripping. And really surrender your torso down. Shoulder blades are even and heavy. Now glide the ball overhead. Elbows are soft, just to the place where it feels super comfortable, and then glide your arms down as if you're resting the ball on your thighs. And then do this as you breathe in and out. And as you breathe in, maybe float the arms over as if the ball goes overhead. And then as you exhale, let the ball come down and rest on your thighs. And just perhaps do this once more. Breathing in as the ball of your arm ball, beach ball, rolls overhead. Maybe you touch the mat, not essential. And then you exhale and release your beach ball back to the thighs. And really involve the mind in this. Now begin to arch. So roll your tail and sacrum away from you, come into the pelvis. And as you arch, coordinate with the beach ball rising overhead. And you'll find how that flow, the spinal extension accompanying the beach ball overhead, really assists the flexion of the shoulders. And then as you exhale and the ball comes back to the hips, the arms float down, gently release the arch and flatten just enough, tucking the pelvis lightly so that you feel your spine imprint all the way along the spinal column. So you lose your lumbar curve and then you increase it a little bit as you roll the sacrum away, and we call this in somatic movement arch. Arms float overhead with your beach ball or up above the crown. Pause and invite release. So halfway down as you get back to the start position here, that is your spine releasing. And then as the ball lands into the lap, increase lightly your ability to flatten that spine. One more like that, please. Arc, ball overhead. Inhalation, coordinated, expand ribs. And exhale, release halfway, and then flatten as ball lands into your lap. And then just come into your released phase. Ball is held again, imaginary ball above the heart center. And as you roll the ball to the right, roll your gaze to the right and let the right elbow touch the earth. And you can even let your right arm open out and the left fingers might touch your right elbow pit or your right arm somewhere. Form the ball again to center. Inhale, exhale, roll ball and you and your gaze to left. Left elbow drops, left arm opens out, fingers touch and rest onto the left arm. And then if you wish, you can roll faster. Roll the ball, drop the elbow. Roll your ball to the right, drop the right elbow, roll ball left, left elbow lands. Head and neck rolling along for the ride, and your torso is gently rotating the ribs. As you land on the right, you feel the right shoulder blade heavily landed, and the left shoulder blade has rolled around the rib cage. As you land to your left, weight pours into the left shoulder blade, and you see and feel this gentle but very comfortable rolling action of head, neck and shoulders, rolling your beach ball. And now please group, roll to your right, lay the right arm down and roll your hips to the right and roll onto your right side. So tidy up the side line, just stack gently the left hip on top of the right, the left knee on top of the right knee, and then extend your right arm along the earth so that your arm, your upper arm, elbow, your forearm bones, your wrist and your fingers are laying flat along the earth, and your left arm is laying along your torso with the left arm and hand just draping onto your buttocks or your hip or thigh, and lay the head down. I would suggest that unless you're super uncomfortable in the neck, you do not use a cushion. You simply let your head rest down, but obviously lay a cushion under your right ear if this is pulling anywhere into your neck. So put your brain now into only your left shoulder and roll the shoulder up to the ear, north, and then slide and glide the shoulder down, and that is our movement south. Inhale and roll and glide up, exhale and glide down. Now let's go east and west. Just roll your shoulder forward and maybe feel a little contraction here in the chest muscles, and then roll your shoulder backwards, and can you feel your scapulae slightly roll into the midline, so the shoulder blade rolls along that rib cage and draws into the spinal column. So let's do a little bit more east and west. Rolling inwards, the shoulder rolls forward, rolling backwards, I'm calling that west on the compass. Now you can continue with this kind of movement even 5 or 6 times in each direction. But for today, now turn your north, south, east and west into a mindful shoulder circle. Close your eyes. Move internally right inside that left shoulder complex. And your circle can be small or large. The arm is lifeless, so let that arm keep gliding around your body. It's laying on your buttock, on your thigh, then on your hip. What you are seeking, my lovely group today, you are seeking a glossy action. Now rotate carefully in reverse. So whatever direction you were moving in, conscious awareness. Smooth, easy breathing. Feel that left arm rolling in the opposite direction, the shoulder circle, and find your glossy actions, and your eyes are gently closed. And now float the left arm to land its left palm on top of the right, and slide your left fingers in front of your right, and it will pull your head down into the mat, look down into the earth. And then, just as if you were pulling on a long evening glove, slide the left palm along the skin of your right arm, and there'll be a point when your left elbow will want to bend. Let that happen, and maybe slide the fingers all the way to the right shoulder and to the collarbone and even to the front of your throat. And you'll notice the beginning of a rotation that starts to happen in the left rib cage. And as you pause here with your left fingers sliding across your own collarbones, let the head gaze towards the sky and pause there. And then open your left arm out to the left. This is a reference move. And slowly roll your gaze to look at the left thumb. And your arm is most probably laying above the earth, and you're just, it's like a dangling energy as that left arm reaches away from you, your chest is open. Now bend the left elbow. Remember that opening, remember that arm opening and how it felt in your scapulae, how it felt in your chest. And then fold your left palm back onto the collarbones and slide all the way back. Slide along the right arm, along the skin. Your left palm rests on top of the right arm. I am demonstrating this if you are unclear. And then we're going to go into a Soma movement called shoulder slide and glide. So reach your left fingers beyond the right, and it draws the head and nose almost into the mat. And then slide all the way back, maybe to the elbow, keep the arm long. So slide forward and slide backwards. Can you also notice that as you slide that left hand almost towards your elbow pit, how your knee has started to glide forward and back over the underneath leg? So let the pelvis begin to be involved in this shoulder slide and glide, please. Let's do 3 more, gliding and breathing, breathing and sliding. Let everything be smooth and glossy. It's almost meditative. Inhale, exhale. And now slide the left palm along and place the left palm just like a cup and saucer on your forehead. And you are facing side lying, you are gazing at your right thumb, your right arm along the earth. And then rotate your rib cage, chest and body. And please don't drag your head, but let your left palm that is cupping over your own forehead, not your left forehead, your own forehead. Let that left elbow open to the left. You're now gazing towards the sky, and then let your chest open just a little bit more without strain, and you'll feel that left hip just draw back as the knee glides. Maybe you also manage to turn left, and maybe your left back, left shoulder starts to open out. And then guide your head back, rolling your head back to the start position. And you're now side lying again. You may even roll onto the palm and forehead, and you are facing the yoga mat, rolling your head into the mat. Let's go again. Roll open. Take your gaze up to the sky. At all times, group, your palm is resting on the forehead. And then roll your chest and ribs open. Enough. You are turning left with your gaze and you're looking into your left armpit. And then let's involve the breath. exhale and roll back. If you haven't involved your breath, do so now more consciously. Roll the face into the mat. So begin to breathe in. Roll head, neck and shoulder open. Let the hip involve. Let the knee glide. Turn left. And exhale. As you gently roll back, you are guiding your head. We've just got one more of these. Rolling everything smoothly and glossily. Can you be lazy? Can you please be lazy about this movement? Do not involve any contraction, any toning, any abdominal contraction. Just let everything glide. And that is the completion. Take now that left hand onto the rib cage. So plant the hand, or give you a little tap onto that left lung, left rib cage. You're still side lying, you're gazing at the right palm, which is facing up to the sky. And now just encourage the rib cage to open, carrying the knee, carrying the scapulae, laying open, look up to the sky. Rolling back. And to side lying and rolling open. Just can you feel the rib cages rolling open? Can you feel that left side opening? One more of the ribs, of your attention to the rolling of the ribs opening. And then roll back. You're side lying again. And then float your left arm up to the sky and roll your gaze to look at the arm. Again, see my demo if you're in any way unsure. And you are looking up to your left arm, and you can see your left thumb, and you can see your left thumbnail. And then gently internally rotate. Roll your arm corkscrew all the way in, and you'll feel your shoulder bunch up to your ear. So there's a clue for desk users. When you are in a rounded upper back, hunched over your desk, and your shoulders lift, your arms internally rotate, and that is not good for stuck stress. That means your joint is closed. Can you feel that bunching up around that left shoulder? Now unravel. Come back to center with the thumb facing, and then externally rotate. And feel the space in the front of the chest. Feel your scapulae draw down your back. And then do this again a few times. Rolling in, corkscrew in, and corkscrew out. And if you want to lay your head on the side, close your eyes and continue that motion. If that feels more comfortable, lay the head down and close the eyes. If you want to continue to lay the head differently and gaze up to your turning, rotating arm, then please do so. So we've got about 5 turns there. And now we're going to lift as if the arm's pulling out of the hip, the socket, and drop down. Lift and drop. Lift and drop. So feel your arm reach up as if there's cherries from a tree. You've got to pick the cherries and drop. Scapulae rises, it rolls around that rib cage and it drops back. And then again, rest that left arm on top of the right, left palm on top of the right. And now let's return to our reference move. Slide your left fingers beyond your right. Slide back as if you're pulling on an evening satin evening glove. As you reach the elbow pit, bend the elbow. Come all the way to the collarbones, look up to sky. And now roll the chest open and reach your left arm out to the left. And as you lay open, what do you notice about the freedom and the space that you have now found across the opening of the arms open? And I guarantee that your left arm has now moved much more fully open to the land there. You've opened out to the earth. You are turning left and looking into that left opening. And please enjoy the breathing there for another moment. Consciously breathing across that spread open chest, shoulder blades melted down the back, and your rib cage is much more aware of how the ribs, the scapulae and the shoulders integrate together. And then please pick up that whole left arm. It reaches up to your sky and then it slowly closes. And of course in yoga and Pilates, this whole movement that we call often arm openings is very, very beautiful. But can you sense how by breaking it down into small parts, it's become much more accessible to you? So we're going to remain with that left shoulder now and slide the left fingers on the earth into the earth above your right palm. The arm floats overhead, fingers are on the earth. And then again, roll your chest open and let that left arm draw a circle and around to your right hip and then coming back to the fingers. And let's do that once more. Draw a circle. The fingertip goes above the crown. You roll open the left arm to the left, the gaze to the left. Draw the hand down to the hip. Across, it skims your leg and it lands back. And then please roll back onto your back in supine semi and even slide your legs away again. As you sense your left shoulder blade, the top of the left shoulder, the chest, the collarbones, feel how much has changed in the releasing space of your left shoulder. And what I'd like you to do now is simply roll your body on to its left side. And we're not going to complete everything in this 45-minute class today on the right side. We're just going to go back into the arm opening series, as also known as the lazy archer in somatics. So arrange your body now laying on your left side. So that left arm that you've just paid all of your beautiful conscious awareness to is underneath you. And your right arm is resting on the right hip first of all, and eventually we will bring it to slide and glide on the lower left arm. But starting with the right shoulder, simply roll into some shoulder circles. So remember that on the other side, you use the north, south, east and west, but just for timing issues, we'll circle the right shoulder in both directions. But you can offer the compass point movement to yourself later on or any day this week. So keep rolling that shoulder. Try to feel, is there any jitters, jerks or judders? Is there a part of that circle that is not responsive? And the reason that we break it down into the north, the south, the east and the west is because those four actions are in that circle, that full circumduction. So remember, you're stacking yourself, your left arm is resting. You may be spending a little bit more time, as we did on the left shoulder than the right, but let's see how it feels for you. Slide your right arm now on top of the left palm, and as you reach the fingers forward and then glide them back, be conscious of what is happening in your scapulae and your head and neck as your head and neck rolls along. So first of all, just gliding and sliding, just a few slides and glides. Letting the head and neck roll and release as you let that pattern happen. And I must actually move this cushion out of the way in case that is blocking your view. So sorry about that if you were looking at the demo and that cushion was blocking. So you can see how you can really, if you have freedom, extend the top fingers beyond the lower fingers. Now let's pull on the satin glove. So pull the glove, bend your right elbow as you reach the left, and then glide the right fingers all the way to rest on your collarbones, and then look to the sky, rotate your gaze out to the right, and then you will reach your right arm out to the right and let it hang there as a reference to see and feel and sense what is your range of motion today, how open can you feel across the chest. So you will allow that opening to take place. And then coming back, bend the elbow, slide through, and you can always slide the arm all the way back through again. And you might want to do that a couple times more, breathing as you glide forward and your head and neck almost gets rolled into the mat, nose is into the mat, and then maybe breathing in as you feel this lovely slow motion as if you're pulling on a satin glove, and then rolling the body open. Start to feel that gliding action in the knee as the right knee glides over the left and the pelvis releases and your hand is on the collarbones. Now we're going to place the right palm onto the forehead, and you can roll the head back into the mat. And then you are guiding the motion of the arm, head, neck, shoulder, scapulae as you roll the chest open and look into your right elbow. Breathe in the open space that you've created. And then slowly exhale and guide the head, neck, shoulder, arm back into the rotation, and then roll into the mat. Breathing in as you open. And breathing out as you exhale. Slow down, close your eyes, sense and feel. Do you need to make less effort to encourage your movement to be free? In somatic movement, less is more. Effortless effort is what we call this. And you are able to just glide your body without any strain, any force. All the body and brain fully involved in conscious patterning. And so about 3 movements there, and then come back to the halfway point. So your elbow is just resting up towards the sky and your forehead has made this lovely cup and saucer, and the palm resting on your forehead, right palm to forehead. And now just place the right palm onto your right ribs, and a couple more movements here as you encourage the ribs to draw open as you roll, and then you roll your ribs, you roll yourself back onto the side. So can you feel as you breathe and inflate and space out the ribs? Your ribs shine a light up to the sky, and then the heart opens and the chest unravels. And that right elbow is bent and the palm is resting and gliding. And now slide your right hand onto the left. And let's go for the full movement. So reach the fingers beyond the left palm. Glide as if you're pulling on your satin evening glove. As you reach the elbow pit, bend the elbow. Slide across the throat, neck and collarbones, and then release your right arm out to the right. And the whole arm hopefully lands to the earth. And can you let go of your shoulder blades? And as you gaze to the right, lay that chest open and breathe in and out really calmly. Soften the face, unlock the jaw, and really connect to the difference. And then reach your arm up to the sky. Turn to side lying. Rotate your right arm in and out a few times. Corkscrewing or rolling, pinning that right shoulder. And you might speed up a little bit just because you're a little bit more familiar with how your body is responding to some of these somatic shoulder releasing moves. You may also want to reach and drop a few times. And as I said, we haven't quite taken as much time on this right side than the left, but I think you'll have benefited immensely from what has been happening. And then what I'd like you to do is finish this practice by laying now back onto your back body and finding your supine semi or your full, in yoga we would call it of course the full shavasana pose. And as you drape your arms down beside you and lay your body open, take a few moments here to reconnect to your body. And now, how is your body meeting the earth? Remember, around about 11:05, we started with a short soma scan. What can you feel now about your whole back? Parts that meet the earth, parts where there is space at the low back or the back ribs. Or perhaps your spine and torso has now released enough tension that you feel the tissues spreading more softly. Perhaps you feel a buoyancy in the blood flow of the shoulder blades and the upper arms, the collarbones and your chest. Most importantly for me, for you, what is the quality now of the breath? Breathing in the rib cages, around the back, around the chest, around the belly.